Most of the attention this offseason surrounded what was going to happen with Zadarius Smith, who was traded to the Browns, what's going to happen with star running back Dalvin Cook, who probably is going to be traded at some point, but sort of on the back burner is what is going. Oh, also Jefferson, away from OTAs, awaiting his extension. But also on the back burner, what's going to happen with superstar edge rusher Danielle "the Real Deal" Hunter? Proved last season that he's completely healthy. 2 years removed from that herniated disc in his neck, as well as the torn pec that cost him a handful of games in 2021. He proved that he's still elite, and he only turns 29 years young in October, and he is still one of the best well-rounded edge rushers in the National Football League. And also, he did all this last year while learning a new position on the fly. And Brian Flores coming in, I do think that he's going to utilize Danielle Hunter as more of a hybrid player, handling the dirt as well as stand-up, utilizing his strengths and catering to them. So I think that Danielle needs to stay in purple, and is a spot where the Vikings need to either extend Danielle or trade Danielle, because through various machinations and sort of kicking the can on his 5-year, $72 million extension that he signed back in the day, he is. They're going to have to do something about his contract, because they've been putting it off, instituting roster bonuses and all that stuff to make it at near market rate, but now the bloom is off the rose, because this is basically about a fifth of what premium edge rushers make, and that's what Danielle Hunter still is in this league. And Danielle, he's been away from OTAs, and the song remains the same, where he's not expected to be at voluntary OTAs. We'll see what happens next week when mandatory minicamp shows up, but he's been away. And last week and also this weekend, he's with our guy Afadi. I love Afadi, man. Like, he's going to do good things this year. But Danielle in New York, checking out the sites. I think they went to a polo match too. Ooh, checking out some judo. I like it. I like it a lot, man. And this year, with Zadarius gone, bring in free agent Marcus Davenport, who has all the potential in the world. Danielle and Davenport could form a nice 1-2 combination on the edge. Also, PJ2, Wanham, Andre Carter II, etc. And Danielle, obviously I'm biased. I mean, Danielle is one of my favorite Vikings, because I just love that he's a physical freak. Came in as a third-round pick, number 88 overall in 2015 out of LSU. And again, Danielle only had 4.5 career sacks in Baton Rouge, but it's another clear sign you bet on traits. You don't bet on stats. And the states have those traits have panned out as nice stats in the league. Back-to-back 14.5 sack seasons, 2018-2019, amongst the league leaders in pressures, as well as last year 10.5 sacks led the team, which is amazing considering how quick Zadarius got out of the gates, as well as was second on the team in pressure. So he can still do the damn thing. He's still very solid against the run. He's still very humble and team first, often working against the strong side, the close side of the field. So often he's rushing the passer through a tight end, through a fullback, through an H-back, etc. So he's still doing that. And Danielle, the most important thing is that he stayed healthy, and that's a big concern. That's a big drawback that a lot of fans point to. Is like, well, he was paid not to play in 2020. He herniated a disc in his neck, man. Come on. And then, of course, the torn pec in 2021. But last year, learning a new position, and he still put up numbers. Still did work, man. And the Vikings, if they do end up trading Danielle, I mean, you have Davenport, you have Jones. I do suspect that they would go out in free agency and try to add someone, whether it be Leonard Floyd, whether it be Yannick the freaking Ngakoue, bring him on back. And yeah, maybe they would be better one-for-one fits as a 3-4 outside linebacker, but you'd be spending money to get a guy to replace Danielle Hunter, who you hope would be as good as Danielle Hunter. That doesn't make no sense to me, unless you do get premium draft picks that you're going to package up and try and find the quarterback of the future. That's the only way that makes sense. And our rule of thumb this entire time has been the Bradley Chubb Denver to Miami trade. So if you get a first round and change, maybe you consider it. I don't know, but cap-wise, if the Vikings do move on, Danielle currently has a $13.12 million cap hit. They would have $7.62 million dead, $5.5 million in cap savings, which they could scrape together, as well as if they move on from Dalvin Cook to bring in a guy like Leonard Floyd, bring in a guy like Yannick the freaking Ngakoue. But I still say extend Danielle. Like I said, he turns 29 in October, and if it's hell, maybe it's a 1-year extension, and then just have him hit free agency. I think that both sides could see the value in that, or if it's a short-term extension. But yeah, Him making $4.5 million while the top tier edge rushers are making $25 million plus per season, sure. But also the Vikings do have some leverage in the spot. He is under contract, and do they find a compromise where they do say sign a 1 year $20 million deal where he can hit free agency next year, and the Vikings either take all that cap on this year. They could do that if they move on from Dalvin, as well as if they extend TJ Hockenson, who's on his 5th-year option, or do they add some more void years to his deal, which he already has 2 to begin with. So I don't know. I don't know at this stage, but all I know is that you don't just get rid of blue chip players when they're in their prime. Now, yes, you should get rid of them a year earlier rather than a year too late, but we're not to that point yet with Danielle. I still think that he has 4-5 years left of his solid prime, and I think that a defense that does cater to his strengths as opposed to having him simply play out of position. Again, great coaches make their players tailor their scheme to their players as opposed to make their players fit into their scheme. So I think that's the type of coach that Flores is. I think Danielle would thrive under the flow system. So I hope they keep him because it's a passer and get the passer league. Danielle Hunter can still get the passer at an elite level. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, your thoughts are thoughts. What's going to happen with Danielle, the real deal Hunter? Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.